Talk about your tours, most especially towards the northern part of Nigeria. Tell me about your escapades. All right, tell me about your journey, your travels to the north. Sometimes the perception people have about the north. Tell me about what you saw according to eyewitness contact. Tell me about it.
I think northern Nigeria is a really beautiful place. I think it's really unexplored. Usually I would say northern Nigeria is not unsafe, it's unexplored. But one day someone told me something. They said, sometimes you can't say that because there are people who have seen that it is unsafe. And it's something that I'm now consciously learning, that genuinely there are two sides of every story.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I can only tell my reality. I've traveled maybe 10 states in northern Nigeria, and I travel by car. Yeah. And I remember the first trip I wanted to go on. So the good thing is my mom lived most of her life in Kano, born and brought up in Kano. So I used to speak a little bit of Hausa when I was growing up. And my dad lived a part of his life in Sokoto. So they don't have the typical fear. They're like, you're going to the north. Oh, my mom says, oh, go to the street where I grew up for me. Like, let me see how it looks like. So I'm lucky to have privileged parents or parents who are more exposed to say, oh, okay, explore. I grew up in that type of home where they want you to see. And the problem is, the fear comes from people who just haven't explored. And I've always found it quite problematic or quite scary. And it's a funny thing because the north is a place. Places can generally be unsafe, or places can also be safe. It's perspective. When you speak to a typical northerner about politics in Nigeria, the insights they give you is insane. I learned more about politics in the past 3 months of traveling.
The north.
Yes, because they are so... There's an awareness in which they speak. Every coup that happened, they can tell you about it. They'll tell you names, they'll tell you time, they'll tell you places. I think education in Nigeria is very warped. We learn so many things, but we do not learn a part. It's almost like, and I had a conversation with someone and I said, perhaps the problem is education wasn't made by us. It wasn't our education, our scheme of work wasn't made by us. That's why when you teach me history, you teach me about Benin Empire only once, and then you brush over it.
Exactly.
Why is my history so much of slavery? Why don't you remind me that?
Of the things that we conquered, things that we did.
There were caliphates before the white people.
Yeah, fantastic.
There is so much of Nigeria before we became Nigeria.
Welcome back to your favorite show. Now, trending is that one-stop shop for you, as we say all the time. It brings you everyone that is trending. It means that everybody that comes here will definitely trend from this particular episode. That's just what we do. And shout out to everybody watching in over 45 countries in Africa at the present moment. We appreciate you as well. Now, back to the celebrity in the building. We have someone amazing in the building today. Now, his many things he just got called to bear. All right. Is a creator, all right. He's a content creator. He's done so much for himself and the industry at large as well. And he's a traveler. Let's call him a Jaladi traveler as well. Loves to travel to a lot of places as well. His name is Tobi in the building. Welcome on Trending, my brother. How you doing, man?
I'm doing amazing.
Welcome on board. Firstly, I want to say congratulations. You just got caught to bear, or the bar got caught to you.
You know what's funny? When you said we have to be in the building, in my head, I said barrister to be for you.
Oh, sorry. Barrister to be in the building. Why did you decide to study law?
I've always wanted to be a lawyer. So it's one of these things where I'm one of those kids who, the first thing I wanted to be was an engineer. So for context,
you wanted to be an engineer? Yes. For
context, my sister is a doctor. My two other brothers are engineers. Oh. So it makes. I come from a very academic family. Oh. So I was one of those kids who was straight away, I want to be a lawyer, and then my dad is like, oh no, he doesn't want a lawyer. He wants another engineer. So we had just always known. It's almost like I think the only other thing I wanted to be was a fashion designer. And my dad was like, please, you can do a fashion design when you're a lawyer. So my dad didn't want a lawyer. And I think at some point it was just a way to get back at him and be like, okay, well, I'll become a lawyer whether you like it or not. And then eventually, I remember when I was around, I think I took my first jam when I was 12. So I took the second one I took my first jam at, I think 12.
You were jam at 12?
My father believes we're child geniuses. So I entered uni at 15. I had just turned 15. Yes, so the demand just, oh my God, my children are so brilliant. I'm going to ensure, they maximize their full potential. But I think it was really amazing. I've just always wanted to be a lawyer. But also because my mom wanted to be a lawyer and her dad wanted to be a lawyer. It almost felt like...
You're fulfilling the prophecy, huh?
Yeah, and I liked it. I liked to argue. It was like right timing, right cause. Write everything.
That's amazing to actually say that you wanted to be the black sheep of the family. When you say that,
And being a black sheep was being a lawyer.
because if your father is an engineer, all right, and your
my siblings, my two brothers are
engineers, your dad is
just a businessman. Both my parents just did
oh,
business.
okay, business.
I mean, they have their masters because they believe their masters makes them better business people.
Yeah.
So they're serious academic. That's what I'm going to give them. They do business, but they're serious academic.
But now, growing up, did you ever see yourself doing content creation? Like, do you ever see yourself like being a content creator? And
Well, no, because growing up, they weren't really content creators, and I didn't watch a lot of TV growing up. As a matter of fact, I didn't watch TV at all growing up.
You didn't watch TV at all?
Yes.
So what were you doing? What were you watching?
I read encyclopedias. I read books. I grew up in a home where you would come back from school, you read a very fun encyclopedia, you play with your siblings. We had a lot of innovative games. We had a full library, and you could do whatever you wanted in the library. There was Encounter Kids. There was so much. There was Enid Blyton. So you never felt like I was missing out. And I think I grew up in a very academic. I grew up in Benin, in a particular school, like Benin. It was a very academic school. So it was not like I was one in a million. There were a lot of us who would just read books, fun books. I mean, but yeah.
We see that men don't really talk about mental health. Are you in consonant with this kind of men who do not talk about mental health, who do not talk about how they feel or how they are feeling at the moment because they don't want to feel weak about it?
So I think that's one of my strong standpoints, men's mental health in particular. You know, I think the idea of, I find it crazy when people say, there's something I believe. I think feelings are meant to be felt. So every feeling, sadness, happiness, joy, feelings are meant to be felt. And that's why they're feelings. When you don't emote your feelings, you're holding it inside. And it's something I also tell people when they say I'm angry. I say anger is the bodyguard of sadness. Or when people say men don't cry, but it's the strongest people who cry because then it means you can feel. I'm a firm believer in, I understand African society and I understand our society, niching it down to Nigerian society. And when people say men don't cry, it's not a sign of strength. But I think quite the opposite. I think true strength doesn't need signs. I don't think I need to show you that I'm strong. I don't think strength needs proof. You gain strength from hardship. So if I go to the gym 4 times a week, I become stronger. I don't need to prove to you that I'm strong. Hence, when people say things that are loosely based like, oh, men don't cry or strong men don't cry. So where does that stem from? I'm someone who believes strongly in education or in facts. I'm a lawyer. So give me facts. Why do strong men not cry? It's not fact-based. And so when people say things like that, like, I usually ignore it, or I usually say, oh, I don't think that's fact-based. I think you're saying crap. But
what do you consider as fact-based, though? Scientifically proven?
So not just scientifically proven. You know, I think there's also data collection. You have to give me that, okay, 65 out of 100 men who have cried are significantly weaker. And because this data has never been done. It's just hearsay.
How do you think? Why
I mean, if you can provide me with data right now, I would believe you. Do you think crying makes you a stronger man?
It's actually different because sometimes vulnerability, all right, tears brings vulnerability, all right, and sometimes you can cry in silence. Doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't cry, but publicly showing up tears, it makes you look weak.
I mean, I never spoke about crying in public, so it just tells that that's like your mind.
But yeah, but you understand. But have you ever cried in public though? Have you ever shown emotions in public, pure emotions?
Of course,
tears?
I'm a person. So I don't know about tears, but of course I'm a person. I don't think, I don't. So it's so irrelevant to me that I wouldn't even remember. That's what's funny. I wouldn't hold it against. I would just, okay, if I cry in public, I cry and I move on my life. I'm a human being. Like,
let's switch conversations a bit and talk about your tours, most especially towards the northern part of Nigeria. Tell me about your escapades. All right, tell me about your journey, your travels to the north. Sometimes the perception people have about the north. Tell me about what you saw according to eyewitness contact. Tell me about it.
Now I can actually give you a witness because I'm really
there.
I think northern Nigeria is a really beautiful place. I think it's really unexplored. You know, usually I would say northern Nigeria is not unsafe, it's unexplored. But one day someone told me something. They said sometimes you can't say that because there are people who have seen that it is unsafe. And it's something that I'm now consciously learning, that genuinely there are two sides of every story.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I can only tell my reality. I've traveled maybe 10 states in northern Nigeria, and I travel by car. And I remember the first trip I wanted to go on. So the good thing is my mom lived most of her life in Kano, born and brought up in Kano. So I used to speak a little bit of Hausa when I was growing up. And my dad lived a part of his life in Sokoto. So they don't have the typical fear. They're like, you're going to the north. Oh, my mom says, oh, go to the street where I grew up for me. Like, let me see how it looks like. So I'm lucky to have privileged parents or parents who are more exposed to say, oh, okay, explore. You know, I grew up in that type of home where they want you to see. And the problem is, the fear comes from people who just haven't explored. And I've always found it quite problematic or quite scary. And it's a funny thing because the North is a place. Places can generally be unsafe, or places can also be safe. It's perspective, but it's more so more than perspective. It's a reality. And because every time I have to try to have this conversation, it's such a juxtaposition.
Curveball.
Yes. And so also because I like to say that I'm young, I'm going to make mistakes, I can. But this is my reality. I want to explain to people that I tried telling them that, oh my God, I loved you, that I'd like to move. Then they're like, you're not scared. And I'm like, I'm not. Because every time I go, I see police officers on the road and they're like, where are you going to? Hey, you this boy, you're the one that posted this video. And it's so warm and it's so I'm going to give another juxtaposition. I remember my first time in Kano. So before I started touring the North, I had just gone to Abuja then Kano. And I remember being in Kano and I was having a conversation with someone and he was explaining something to me in the best verbose I've ever heard. That's the most amazing English I've heard in my life. And I'm like, you speak so well. And when I said it, I felt such a cringe in myself. And I'm like, why did I tell you speak so well? It's because I think a part of me has begun to think that I didn't expect of you because I grew up in Benin and it's a way smaller city. And it's almost the mindset that I have that, in smaller cities, they're just smaller cities. But I grew up in a smaller city. And Kano is even a huge city. Like, Kano is a mega city. Like, it's a proper mega city. And people there are so, when I spoke about Kano before I went, people are like, the people there are so accommodating. But they're also ridiculously learned. They're ridiculously intelligent. They're so politically aware. When you speak to a typical Northerner about politics in Nigeria, the insights they give you is insane. I learned more about politics in the past 3 months of traveling.
The North.
Yes. Because they are so... There's an awareness in which they speak. Every coup that happened, they can tell you about it. They'll tell you names, they'll tell you time, they'll tell you places. I think education in Nigeria is very warped. We learn so many things, but we do not learn a part. It's almost like, and I had a conversation with someone and I said, perhaps the problem is education wasn't made by us. It wasn't our education, our scheme of work wasn't made by us. That's why when you teach me history, you teach me about Benin Empire only once, and then you brush over it.
Exactly.
Why is my history so much of slavery? Why don't you remind me that?
Of the things that we conquered, things that we did.
There were caliphates before the white people.
Yeah, fantastic.
There is so much of Nigeria before we became Nigeria. A people first, a culture first, before a name.
Exactly.
Why am I learning about Lord Lugard and Flora Shaw before you teach me about the king over your empire?
I tell you.
Do you understand? And I remember telling someone that, I had a conversation with someone and they're like, you know how they always see Mary Slessor about the killing of he was the king. Like, so it's so much history that we do not learn. It's so much, because it wasn't written by us. Exactly. And I feel like every time I travel, it's such an eye-opener. Like I hear something and I'm like, you can't possibly mean that. And they're like, I do. But the thing is, we need to provide, and that's why I want to travel, because lucky for me, I can inform people now. I want people to know there's so much more. And I mean this genuinely, there is so much more. There's so much more outside of Lagos and Benin and Abuja. There is so much more. Sometime a month ago or 2 months ago, I was in Yobe, and Yobe shares the border with Niger, and I was seeing the kids in Niger run into Nigeria. Yes. So I was looking at the border. Yes. And they're just having fun. And I'm like, these people, where do they say they're from? I think there's so many places like that in Nigeria. French-speaking parts. There's a French-speaking part of Taraba. Likewise, there's a French-speaking part in Lagos or in Badagry. There are so many great areas that are left unsaid. So if you don't tell their stories, who does?
Now, people have perceptions about people, all right? Different perspective, because of course, they say, there's a particular saying that if an elephant stood here now and you wanted to paint the elephant, you can only paint from the side which is facing you. And of course, to try to return that as well into what we're talking about, you realize that people may also say that, Tobi, not only where you... Do you speak Pidgin?
Yes, I speak Pidgin.
Not only where you... You go in Benin, eh? And he's from Delta State too.
I mean, Delta State, yeah. Delta
State. So not only where you go.
Yeah.
Now they talk. You just talk.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes.
But you feel like it's not going to be a problem, because of course in the end you're only giving us your own perspective. All right, like, this is where what if when you went there was no danger as at the time that you went there.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes, but realistically, the only perspective you can give is truly yours. I strive to educate myself. I think I'm already doing a huger
job.
Yes, so but I get it, because that's where empathy comes in. And so when people say stuff like, Tobi, you can't say that, I say, well, it's my empathy that makes me say, okay, you are hot and I'm going to allow you to be hot. I understand that. And it's not in my place to say, this is my reality, it must exist. There are two truths can exist at the same time. So I don't strive to fight the reality of it. It is my reality. That is what I show you. But I also show you my reality. My reality exists outside of Lagos, and I show that to you. But when you speak to me from a place of, sometimes it's not reality. It's learned ideologies. That's another truth. Two truths can exist, but sometimes I need people to also say, well, maybe I should educate myself more and, go to these places. I'm not advising anyone to do anything, but this is my reality. And if you're angry at me and say, oh boy, this is the reality you're saying, like you say, so whose reality do you want me to tell? If you tell me your stories, of course I would give you insights. But I'm telling the stories of people whom I've seen. Unless you want me to be a liar, it creates such a juxtaposition, because at the end of the day, it's still so much empathy that I feel. So I think for me, what I just say is, well, two truths can exist. And I think that's amazing.
So the truth of the fact that the place is unsafe, and your truth that is saying that the place is safe.
Well, my truth is not that the place is safe. My truth is this is what I see. I shot a video in Taraba.
At the time that you went there.
Yes, but what I also want to give is more context. I shot a video in Taraba where I had to be on a boat. And in the video, I said, I'm never going back, because I'm never going back there. I love my parents. But when people watched that video, someone said, you cannot paint Taraba in such a light that people don't want to go there. And in my head, I said, but isn't this what I experienced? It was not on safety, but it was unmotorable. And people say, oh, it's not unmotorable. You cannot talk about my village like that. So it's a very dicey thing when you speak about the story of a people. I have to handle it with thought. So even right now, as I'm speaking, I have to be very careful, because at the end of the day, it's a question for you. When I went to the north, people gave me another name. It's almost like I've become, someone will say, Nigeria's sweetheart. So I must also be very careful. To whom much is given, much is also expected. So I must speak of them in a certain fondness. In a very,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So I like to be particular about it. So
okay.
I don't think it's safe or unsafe. I think it is. I think what I've experienced is a lot of safety, and I'm grateful for that. But my heart also goes out to people who are unfortunate and people who are victims. So that's why I don't like to, because sometimes it might sound, when you don't have a dad and someone says, oh, it's my daddy's birthday, or my daddy is doing this for me, it can be edgy. So you have to be very careful. And it's something I'm learning. I'm 23, but I want to be conscious. I want to be socially conscious.
That's fantastic. Anyways, let's talking about perceptions now, and talking about perceptions about what you also think about as well, and trying as much as possible to hold the statements that gives like a curveball. All right. In 2024, all right. So Meta spotlighted you as one of their creators. As well, you say that also try as much as possible. That's also stopped you from saying certain kind of things in the way you said it.
I also grew up in a household where we're taught to be human first, and it's something that I've learned the older I've gotten. So even with domestic stuff, be human first. If you don't like it done to you, don't do it to others. So I think for me, that's what it is. I remember someone told me recently, you're so media trained. I said, I mean, you might be right, but it's not media training to me. I'm just being myself. I don't think it's because of Meta I don't say certain things. I think it's because I'm human, I don't say certain things. I just think, well, people, they're real life people. I shouldn't say that. Yeah.
And it's still trending. We're going to go on a short break right now, and definitely when we return, Tobi, all right, Barrister Tobi. And put that.
Tobi will get ESQ. Barrister and Solicitor of the Supreme Court. Largest bar in Africa. Ah!
Calm down.
My bad.
Tobi and Pascal will be back on your TV screen. Stick around, you're not going to know where it's trending. Welcome back to your favorite show. It's still trending, and right now I have my home man, Barrister. Did chop knuckle with Barrister?
No, don't chop knuckle, man. I'm a temple of justice. Wait, I'm joking. No, but of course.
Barrister Tobi in the building. How you doing, man? How do you feel being called Barrister?
It feels amazing. I've waited 7 years. That's why you can't call my name with other Barrister. I've been there for 7 years. Oh, you are going to call me Barrister Tobi.
Barrister Tobi in the building. And Pascal right here on trending. Now it's time for the fast fire questions. So I asked you some questions, and you answer in less than 60 seconds. Are you ready?
I'll try.
Copy that. Comedy or drama?
Comedy.
TikTok or Instagram Reel?
I'm a Meta ambassador.
Hosting a talk show or a legal debate?
Illegal debates.
Local Nollywood or international movie?
Local Nollywood.
Celebrity interviews or legal talks?
Legal talks.
Legal talks. Right. Beach holiday or city holiday?
City holiday.
Yeah. Travel alone or with friends?
I travel alone so much. I want to travel with my friends. I travel alone too much.
All right, stay in luxury hotel or small guest house?
There's more culture in small guest house, more stories.
Are you trying to say that because of...
No, sorry, international travel test. People should come and give me one.
Work for a law firm or run your own law firm?
Work for a law firm.
Work for a law firm. All right, corporate law or entertainment law?
Corporate law.
Copy that. Casual clothing or formal clothing?
Depends on the day.
The day, copy that. Nigerian traditional wears or Western clothes?
Nigerian traditional wears.
Copy that. What Nigerian traditional wear you wearing right now?
If I had come in traditional, you go my tweets. This boy just you see how good they work out with a Fulani cap everywhere they go. You see what I'm saying?
Anyways, we're going to shop break right now, and when we return, trending continues with Barrister Tobi.
Thank you. Tobi signing out. And Pascal. And only one Barrister though, but I'm Pascal. Pascal is Pascal's show. It's Pascal's show.
back to the superstar in the building, barrister Tobi. Well, you can't even call you a superstar because you're a barrister. Is it legally right to call a barrister
they're not
superstar?
mutually exclusive. That's what I do. What I do.
So you're picking normal this thing more than entertainment.
No, superstar barrister.
Bro, did they tell you you're vain?
Yes, I get that a lot.
A lot of times.
Not a lot, Pascal. Slow down. Just like maybe like 3 times a week.
And let's quickly talk about some project that you're working on right now. What projects are you working on, real quick?
To be fair, I want to tour. I want to tour more cities. I want
in the north.
So not just the north, in the entire Nigeria. I want to see. I think what touring the north has showed me is that there's so much stories. There's so many stories left untold. There's so many people that want to be heard, that want to be seen, and so I would really like to go to more cities. And I think currently that's what I'm working on. I'm showing the beauty of Nigeria. Genuinely,
that's amazing. That's great. We wish you Godspeed and good fortune. As you go, we pray that the angel of the Lord cover you.
Amen. Very important prayer.
I just blessed you. I just gave you.
And you. I see we pray for.
Wait. Are you trying to say that I can't pray for you?
No, I'm just saying.
Oh my God.
Saying.
Anyways, but we wish you well, man. What's that one word for people who actually practice cultural ethnocentrism? Like taking one culture above another culture, thinking that one culture is superior to another culture, or pushing other people aside. What's that one word for you?
Are you asking me the word?
Yes. What is that? What's your take on that? What do you think you want to say to those kind of people?
Oh, so people who think one culture is perhaps above one another.
Yes. So and would treat other people, other cultures.
Yes. So basically, like bigotry.
Yeah.
So I think it comes from an uninformed place. I think the more we experience, is something I've learned also. The more you experience, the more you see, the better you become, the more you assimilate. I think that's the thing with it. With learning, because I don't think education is just between the 4 walls of a school. I think it's reading books. When you open up your mind to certain things, like I can't imagine myself thinking that. You just need to learn, So for some people, I understand that it's been passed down.
Indoctrination.
Hate has been indoctrinated into them, into family DNA. But I think you're the change you want to be. Like you can also wake up one day. That's exactly what racism was. They felt one race was better than another. This is just a more niched down version. You just wake up one day and say, well, we're all people first. And that's really how I grew up. Humanity first. Like, it's not race, it's not color, it's not gender, exactly. It's not tribe.
Absolutely.
Most certainly it's not tribe.
I think I concur and I key into your school of thought because I was listening to Chimamanda in one of her speeches. She was talking about the factual of a single story or the reality of a single story. And it's the truth. The fact that you say that Nigerians are a certain type of way does not necessarily mean that Americans are not a certain type of way.
Exactly.
It's because you're just checking them out based on a single story that you've heard.
That you've heard over and over
again.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Really
Thank you so much, Barrister Tobi, for coming through.
Thank you so much, Pascal.
On Trending, I hope you enjoyed yourself.
So amazing.
Thank you so very much. I hope that you enjoyed yourself as
well.
I
did.
So to your people now, I want you to speak to them 30 seconds. Tell them anything that you want to tell them.
I think life is hard. And I think the world is hard. But for younger creators, for younger people, we must present ourselves in such a way that they know that we can't be ignored. We must have ridiculous audacity, ridiculous courage. We must do things with such vim that we can't be silenced. There is such an importance when we're a collective, so we must come together. And I don't like to form a motivational speaker, but we must do things with such vim. I like to say ridiculous audacity, because the thing is, when we stand together, we can never be silenced. And I really want us to have that mindset moving forward. Ignore the noise, do the work, and come together. We're a collective. You can't break a broom when it's together.
Fantastic. 30 seconds is okay. You already turned into a tech talk. Bro,
I'm actually a TEDx speaker.
I know. Anyways, this is trending. You know, they say like when you're speaking to lawyers, you learn new words.
Did you learn
vain now?
Are you for real? Oh, thank you.
And I feel like it's just really, really great when you listen. Knowledge is fragmented, so anybody that's saying something that you think that you don't know, try as much as possible to cue into what they're saying, because of course, in reality, knowledge is fragmented, isn't it? Absolutely. It's still trending. Thank you so very much for being part of this particular episode. Make sure you follow us on other social platforms being displayed currently on your screen as we're talking. And of course, do you do this thing too for
Okay, is it this? No, I'm not. I'm sure that. Sorry, I'm a YouTuber. So usually when we say that, we'll be like, link in bio. And then I like, click this.
Make sure you also remember the trending ends at the 9 a.m. hour. And of course, at the 8 p.m. hour repeat version. My name is Pascal. And yeah, so like, come your way again on the next episode. Always remember, I'm going to go work my fault.